Hey, you guys, I'm not going to be on here too long tonight for several reasons, but I wasn't even actually planning on coming on here. But this subject matter dawned on me, and I just started literally getting all these downloads. And I'm like, you know what? Somebody must need to hear it tonight or sometime very soon. So let me go ahead on and come on here and spit this out real quick for you guys. Hopefully you guys are revisiting your subscriptions to this channel, so that when I do drop content and whatnot, you'll be notified. All right. Very important. I hope everybody is well. I'm glad that winter is trickling away. I'm not really a winter person myself, right? And some people are, not me. But yeah, let me just hop on into this. All right. Ways to stop the pain after a breakup because, Oh, hi, Heather. Is this who I think it is? Heather Marie. I think I know who this is. Long time since I spoke to you. I hope all is well. I hope this is who I think this is. Oh, I really be having day ones. That's one thing I can say. Like when I go in a support group and stuff, it's so crazy. And me being the introverted person that I am, though, but this is a whole nother conversation. You know what? I'm not going to rear off a topic. I'm not. But Heather is really nice. Oh, you did? Heather's saying that she messaged me on Facebook. Which one? Like my personal Facebook, the support group Facebook, the private one, or the public one? Like the page? Like where? Oh, I'm sorry I missed your message. I'm going to have to check it out. But let me know where you sent the message, and I'll check for it. I usually don't miss them. Aw. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about this because this is the rough part, right? Oh, you did? You requested a video? Private page. Oh, I did answer? Oh, okay. Okay, maybe this was like a couple of weeks ago now, perhaps. Yeah. Okay. I'll just go back on there. If I said I was going to do it, though, yeah, I'll have to go back on there, though, just to bring it back to the front of my mind. Just keeping it real. Yeah. But the emotional pain that we feel after certain kinds, you know, first of all, it's normal, to feel something after a breakup if you were emotionally invested. And even if you think you weren't emotionally invested and then something happens and you feel like, you care even more than you knew that you cared. But on this channel, we know that things can really go into the left field. So I've come and crossed paths with people, including myself, who've had really traumatic relationships where abuse definitely took place on all types of levels. So obviously, these type of breakups are even more painful than a normal, we will put that in quotes, breakup where perhaps it wasn't abusive, but you just weren't, you weren't equally yoked. It wasn't the right fit. Those type of breakups happen. And then there's the other type of breakups, where it could be narcissistic abuse or minimally just a really toxic person, a sociopath, a psychopath. Okay. Like just a lot of really dark stuff. So I want to give you guys some tips here to help you out through this process. And it definitely, I'll tell you, just from someone who's been there and done that, all these tips I'm going to give you definitely has helped me in my life. And it's to the point now, when I have to release things or have endings or let go of a toxic person or set boundaries with a toxic person, if it's a family member that I'm not going to just cut off, or I just need to distance myself or deal with them or handle them accordingly. There's situations and different types of outcomes. But either way, it doesn't come anywhere near dramatic or painful for me like it had been, before I learned these lessons and these coping mechanisms and these strategies, if you will, that definitely will help you in your situation. So, with that being said, let's just go ahead and jump on in here. All right. So, the first thing I have here is definitely going to be to allow yourself to feel. A lot of times, and I've been guilty of this myself, where I've run from my feelings at times because I just didn't want to feel it. Perhaps there have been some elements of denial that can be present there. And then there are situations where I definitely experienced this as well, where my waking life was so jam packed. My schedule was so full of, do this, do that, especially those of us in a Western civilization. And I hope you guys are hearing me really well right now because I usually use an external microphone. I have a really, really top of the line laptop, and it's supposed to have a really good speaker system to it. So hopefully you guys, the clarity of this live chat, is going to be good for everybody. So I'll just say that. Let me know in the chat if there's a problem. The microphone is in another room. I could quickly get it, but everything should be good. I'm sure you would have said something by now. But yeah, there have been times, especially those of us living in a Western civilization, where it's just go, 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 go. And you feel like you barely even have time or make time for yourself, let alone time to sit with your feelings and figure this out. You're like, girl, I don't got time for that. When I got to do this, I got to do that. I'm not going to lose my job behind this. I'm not going to, we have all these responsibilities nowadays. So it's easy to neglect our feelings at that point. But as I've said in prior videos, when I talked about panic attacks and anxiety attacks, it is so important to allow yourself to feel. And I know these are probably going to be like the worst feelings, especially initially. If you have some type of trauma bond or codependency going on in these relationships, the feelings that you're going to feel right away is going to be like that of a person who's breaking an addiction. And it's really tough in the beginning to, let go and make the change, let alone then all of these emotions and feelings that are going to be happening inside of you, because there was a lot of psychological things that were occurring in that relationship that was working against you. And now it's like you have to face all of this stuff. But when you're really ready to move forward, you guys, you understand that facing these things is what's really going to actually cement it this time, and, stop building on the sand or things that are just unstable, basically, and get you on a solid ground. It's like, for once and for all, I really want to face, all of these things so that I can really get to the bottom of it and really, truly, end this cycle and this season, and welcome the newness and the transformations. So you have to allow yourself to feel. And when you're doing it, feel but don't wallow. That's the whole tricky part. It's like, well, one feeling leads to another feeling. Next thing you know, I done spent a whole damn day, woe is me, and not getting out of bed. So there has to be some type of structure with this. And you're like, structure with feelings? Yeah. You can compartmentalize it. You could actually make times, like through counseling or whatnot, set times for the feelings, or, just have that self-awareness. And yeah, you can have the self-control to say, okay, that's it. I mean, we've all seen those memes. I'm giving myself 5 minutes. I'm not saying it has to be that small, especially in the beginning, but I'm not going to spend half of my day and all my day, So addressing your feelings and just allowing them to resurface and not pushing them down, so that later you're not having these panic attacks and things that will come back to bite you in the butt. And you'll be like, why is this happening? It's because there's feelings inside of you that you just haven't addressed appropriately, or they haven't come up enough. Allow yourself to cry. These are all releases. The whole problem is we have these releases and then we get in these cycles of abuse. We go back in it and then we have to release it all over again and then some. So, yeah, I hope that wasn't too drawn out. That was confirmation right there. But we have to deal with those feelings and we have to allow our emotions to come up, and then we can dive into, why do I feel this way? Like really not only just feel it, but approaching this through our emotional maturity and if you need help with that, of course you should get it. If you don't feel like you have enough clarity at this time, if things are a little bit unclear. I know I personally did it. I had 2 therapists when I was going through my night of the soul, if you will, or basically really trying to heal through some severe traumas in my life. I definitely didn't go at it alone. I still do offer coaching, you guys. And that's down at the bottom of LaKiaCrawford.com. And of course, you can also do the brick and mortar too. Hey, you could double up and do both. All right. But yeah, let's get those feelings out after the pain of the breakup, and don't be in denial. Allow yourself to feel, because you're going to have to face it sooner or later, because that is definitely a part of the grieving process and the healing process. And it is a grieving thing with a breakup. Okay. The next thing I have here is we're going to be checking our perspectives, you guys, and the outlook that you have on this situation. And honestly, it's going to be dictating your feelings. I mean, how much worse are you going to feel if it's, like I said, this woe is me, life hates me, I'm broke, busted, and disgusted, I lost, I was used, I got played, I'm defeated. And it's basically all this victimized talk that's going on here. And we need to check the perspective. Instead of looking at it this way, from a victimized mentality, oh, it's the end of the world, you're going to have to learn how to manage your thoughts and these negative thoughts in particular, because we have a lot of thoughts. I've read studies that said we have like 60,000 and 85,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of thoughts. But what I know from a spiritual level is all the thoughts that run through your mind aren't yours. And I know that's not going to make sense to a lot of you. Like, wait, it's going through my mind. How is it not mine? Well, you know what? There's programming that's happening, since you were born. So you need to realize, what of these thoughts are really mine? Should I be claiming and owning, or should I be releasing and rebuking, if you will, or denying? And as far as the perspective and the outlooks, you guys, you should be looking at this: I'm breaking out, I'm liberated, especially, in these cases of abuse. But that's how abused you are, and that's how, not well you are in that particular state when you're feeling this way. But you're liberated, you're free, you've overcome something, you've completed something, you've accepted an ending out of a bad situation that wasn't serving you. You're allowing for the transformation. So instead of saying, I lost, I was used, I was played, you got some reinforcement, you had some experiences, and you're better for it. You're better for it if you're taking the lessons. All right. You needed the reinforcement and the experiences, and pain is a good way, unfortunately, right? But fortunately, it's just how it is, to get our attention on things in the cracks of our foundations. That person was used to, teach you some lessons here. All right. But it's going to be hard to check your perspective if you're not doing the next thing here on my list, and that's letting go of the bitterness. Because I said you can be better for it, but you can also be bitter for it. Bitterness is not going to be your friend here. It's definitely not going to, it's going to enable you to continue to cling on to something that you're going to have to let go of it. Charge it to the game. Shoot, you can make it that simple. The game of the University of Life. Look, I had this experience, something in my existence, warranted this experience on my path, and I'm going to be better for it and not bitter. I'm going to learn for it. I'm not going to, repeat these cycles. There's no need to be bitter about it. There's no need to be bitter about it. And I know for some of you, it's going to be like, what? This person did X, Y, and Z to me, and you're telling me not to be bitter? There's a difference between not approving of something hurting you, feeling some way about it, and then there's bitterness. That's like, we put a spectrum out here. We're going way, we got to find a balance, basically. you know I'm not saying that it's all hunky-dory what someone did to you all of a sudden. I'm just saying, don't let it get to bitterness. You can stop it before it gets to bitterness by checking that perspective and that outlook. All right. The next thing I have here is being too focused on them versus focused on you. A lot of time there's pain off their breakup because now in a social media age and all these things, we're able to try to keep track of people. I don't know if the person lives close by, if you guys frequent the same places, if you're in the same circle of quote unquote friends or whatever have you. And, just being too focused on, well, what are they doing next? Who are they doing it with? Versus, tending to yourself. And that was the problem in a relationship, chances are, where you were, especially if there was codependency going on, you were too focused on them and you were abandoning yourself. And here you are in a breakup after this toxic situation where you need you the most, even more so now, and you're still overly or just focused on them at all. Look, when you are really over it, and these are signs that there are parts of you that's not over it. And of course, when you're trying to break the addiction, you're not going to be over it psychologically, although you could be physically detached and physically removed from the situation. Is going to be a work in progress, right? But when you really get to a certain point, you guys, it's a beautiful thing because you're not going to care. You're not going to care who they're dating, who they're talking to, who they're hanging out with, what they're saying about you. Like, all of that stuff is going to become so irrelevant. It's the most beautiful thing. Like, I'm just using myself for an example here. I could just look at myself and the way that I've handled situations, as I've gotten these lessons. And I feel light as a feather. I feel light as a feather. It's like, I don't care. Like, when I'm really over something, I'm really over it. Like, I don't care. I'm not feeling some kind of way. I don't care who they're sleeping with tonight. Like, I don't care who they do anything for. I don't give a, I don't even, you just don't care. That's like a very freeing space to get to. And I wish that for anyone who's, having the pain after the breakup. All right. But yeah, you can't be overly focused on them. That means you're not being focused on yourself and giving yourself, yet again, the stuff that you need. All right. And the reason why this can be happening is my next thing. You need to be able to see your opportunities. A lot of times we feel like, or maybe we have put our eggs in a basket and we made somebody our end all be all. We wrote a story for that relationship, how we thought it was going to be. And it didn't end up that way. And because of all of the negativity and the negative experiences and the negative programming, perhaps the low self-esteem, all these things that tend to happen in these types of relationships, you're not even seeing your opportunities. And not only you're not a lot of times seeing your opportunities, you may be worried about their opportunities that they're creating because they're letting go energetically in a certain way. But we have to remember who we are, because that's the whole point of those type of relationships, is to reconnect ourselves to ourselves and our self-worth and our self-care and, having boundaries and whatnot. But seeing the opportunities, like, this is one person out of billions of people. Even if you had 12 shitty relationships, that's still 12 people out of billions of people in the world. And even if your life is more of a lone wolf, even if you were more of a person that may have been called to singleness, I don't know, you still got to believe in the opportunities. You have opportunities outside of romantic relationships. The opportunity is to grow with yourself. The opportunity is to grow with your own self-care. There's so many things that you could be focused on in opportunities than just, okay, who am I going to be with next? And da 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 da. Be with yourself. Have you been with yourself? Can you be with yourself and stay with yourself while being with other people? These are the opportunities that are being extended upon you right now. The opportunity is for self growth and development. See those opportunities. Don't be caring about who this person, who's addicted to relationships, maybe jumping into stuff with other people or whatever you have, even if they're not jumping, if they're just really over you and they just moved on to someone else, okay, that's their business. It wasn't for you though. They weren't supposed to continue the path with you, right? So in order to see these opportunities and savor them, we're going to have to do the next thing, which is start living life. You have to start living life instead of moping around, giving into depression, and basically staying stagnant at that point, because that's what can happen. You're stuck, reminiscing. You're stuck in your feelings. You're stuck in feeling victimized. You're stuck in pettiness. You're stuck in grief. You're just stuck. And if you get into these stuck situations and you try to go through everything I'm saying and you still feel stuck, then don't try to take it on. The world is full of help. You're here on this channel, you already know that. So don't go at it alone. Get some more help. Okay. But you got to start living life. You got to go out, get some fresh air, get your ass up, take a shower, start making those deposits into yourself. Get a list, become intentional about things. Start living life, because you were existing merely in those relationships. Are you really living life? You're not, damn sure not living your best life, but that should definitely be your target at this point. What do I want? What's going to fulfill me? What's going to add peace into my life? What's going to balance me out? What's going to help in my self-development? Get out and start living. Start living. Okay. And that doesn't depend on someone else doing something for you and making these deposits. You start living. Like nobody can breathe for you, right? You got to get up and start living. So what's going to make it easier to do this is the next thing on my list. Forgive yourself. Yeah. And a lot of people are like, well, it's them that I don't want to forgive. Let's put that to the side right now. I want you to forgive yourself. And a lot of times, from what I'm seeing, survivors are even harder on themselves than they are even on their abusers, So you're going to have to forgive yourself for being in your ignorant state, for feeling like, you have some stupidity, or for your willingness to accept the toxic invitation. You can forgive yourself for that, but I wouldn't be hard on yourself, because chances are 9 times out of 10, most people are doing the best that they can in any given situation. I mean, you could just look back and see your growth. Like, man, who I am now, I would never, but it took you going through that, So I'm one of those people, good or bad. Yeah, maybe if I could go back, maybe I would change this. But you know what? It still made me who I am today. It still made me who I am today. So it just is what it is, you guys. So forgiving yourself is going to be the best thing that you could do, because you can't go back and change the past anyway. So, releasing that toxic energy is just making space for you to fill yourself up with peace. Like, just think of it. Every time I'm releasing these negative emotions for good, pretty much, I'm making space for something positive to come into my life. All the negativity I'm letting go is creating the space for something else positive to come in. And what's a part of that, you guys, is not living in the past. So we don't live in the past, we just learn from it. We don't live in the past, we just learn from it. And yes, when we're in the mode of learning for it, there's going to be a certain amount of time that we're going to spend talking about it and dwelling about it, but we're not going to wallow in it. It's not going to be this obsessive thing. And a lot of times we live in the past when we feel like we didn't get closure, but you could give yourself closure. I mean, if you think about it from the logical sense, why am I going to expect this toxic ass person to give me closure? They couldn't even give me a healthy relationship, but they're going to come and apologize to me and do right by me and help me heal now. I'm going to trust them to help me in the healing process. They did their job. They did their job by effing things up and being that catalyst for you. That they did their job. Trust me, you don't want them to touch another part of your life again. They did enough. Okay? They couldn't handle it. Everything was in shambles and broken into all these pieces. Give yourself the closure. Usually the closure just comes from emotional maturity. It doesn't come from knowing every little intricate detail. Everybody wants to try to break down everything to the thousandth common denominator. Like, look, that's not how life works for anything. Only God has all of the answers. And he's the one that created all of this. So no, we're not given that. But what he does give us is enough. He gives you more than enough, honestly. If this person is having habitual patterns and repeatedly showing you who they are, showing you what they're about and this and that, they're giving you enough right there. And to a sane person, that is not addicted on a trauma bond or whatever, that's going to be plenty for them. But that's where the mud is right there that needs to be cleansed. All right. But we can't live in the past. We have to learn from it, you guys. All right. The next thing that's going to help us here, as far as shaking the past and shedding the past, is do a detox. Yes, do a detox. And when I say detox, I'm talking about physical detox and spiritual detox, you guys. It's nothing wrong with smoothies and juicing and eating high vibrational foods and alkalining things and spiritual cleanses. That can be as simple. It could be just as simple as taking a shower and washing the energy of the day off. That's a technique I have with my kids sometimes. They have a rough day. I'd be like, you know what? I want you to take a shower. I don't want to take a shower, Mom. I'm like, nope. I'm not going to talk to you until you take a shower. And while you're taking the shower, I want you to envision yourself releasing all your emotions, all the negative emotions that you're feeling right now. You're washing them away and down the drain. Like, literally tell yourself, I'm washing today's energy off of me. I love showers, by the way. But yeah, a spiritual cleansing is really good. I am into sage and Palo Santo sticks and stuff like that. I do have frankincense and myrrh. And I do other things too. I do have Florida water. I do spiritually cleanse my house and energies around it. So I'm into other types of things too, you guys. I'm not going to shove that down anybody's throat. Your spirituality is your spirituality, but I highly suggest that you do these detoxes, especially you have other people, you don't know what's attached to them. And there is a realm outside of our physical bodies, you guys, that definitely needs to be addressed, because these toxic relationships, more than the physical body, they're definitely spiritual attacks, you guys. So you got to check in with your spirit, your spiritual well-being, and that's that voice in your gut. That's you getting back attached to God. If you haven't been as close, but a detox, you want to cleanse off the energy of them. And that takes a little bit of time, honestly. When you hang out with people that are so low vibrational, I kid you not, it takes a little bit of time, even after you are physically removed from them, to really cleanse the energy. I mean, you might notice right away, damn, I feel better, because they're so bad for you energetically that they could literally be making you feel sick or making you sick through all the toxicity. And the second it could get that bad where you'll notice, like, every time I bring them back into my life, I start feeling sick. I start gaining weight. I start going down. As soon as I get rid of them, I feel light. Things are just better for me. Like, you'll literally, when you're that connected to source, like, he will make it so obvious. Like, you just can't bring this person with you. The love is just not enough, you guys. It's just not enough. So you're going to have to do the detox physically, and that's a good way to actually counter depression, is working out, because we do release those endorphins. You could take a laxative, or you could do one of those tummy teas or something, like really cleanse out your system and just really let stuff come out of your pores. Heather Marie said, hit the like button. Absolutely, you guys. Absolutely. Honestly, I will tell you this. The more you guys show me that you want me on this channel, I'll be here. This is just a little sidebar. Lakia has an extremely busy life. I really do, you guys. And, but I will make more time for you guys and put more energy into the channel if you just show me that you want to be here. You got to hit the like button, show love and subscribe. That's how I know. It's like, okay, do you guys want me to do this stuff for you? Like, I'm going to come through. Just show me that you want me to be here. That's it. And I do get a lot of loving comments every day, but compared to I think the subscribers, I think a lot of times the people listed may not even be the subscribers at times, maybe new people, and welcome to you guys. But the best way anybody who's running a YouTube channel knows that you guys are receiving and want more is how you guys are liking and subscribing and stuff, your interactions with me. All right. But I don't want to digress too much there, but I do pay attention to that. And I would be on here a whole lot more if I felt like it was more of a need for you guys. All right. But this, I know, like, even if it was just for that one person, like, God wanted me to do it. So, sometimes it just is what it is. Like, it's time for you to do this. All right. So let's go on and move past the detox, you guys. And of course, if you have health issues, you got to, especially when it comes to like a cleanse, going on a water fast or fasting and stuff like that. I'm not a doctor and I can't give you guys, all of that type of stuff. I just know what I do, right? If I were to do something like that and take vitamins or just juice or only have waters or whatever I'm doing to detox, all right? All right, so let's move forward, you guys. The next thing I have on here is strengthen your prayer life. OMG, yes, you really need to strengthen your prayer life because you've heard this, ask and you shall receive, right? A lot of times we're not even used to even asking too much because we've asked and it's always asking the wrong people and it's always asking them more than they wanted to deliver or was willing to give, even if they could give it and they held it back from us. So a lot of times that psychologically, trains you to not even open your mouth and speak existence to things, to draw things into you. But, to heal past this pain, now is not the time to do that. You got to open your mouth and go to the higher source. Be like, look, I'm struggling. I'm feeling pain right now. I know you wanted me away from this, but I need your help right now. I need your love. And guess what? It is heard. It is heard. I don't know what you guys believe, but I believe that we all have, or at least us, of the light. And I even think for the stubborn bad ones too, that aren't necessarily of the light, have guardian angels and people that are pulling for us and want us to do well. There's confirmation, whether it's, really the guardian angels or ancestors from our bloodline. There are people around us that want to protect us and stuff. Sometimes, they're doing it generally, but they will do it probably so much more if you ask. Just ask. You got to get to the source. You got to get to the source. And not only that, you guys, strengthening your prayer life. Like I said, these are demonic attacks. These are spiritual attacks, you guys. You're countering the hateration. You're countering the evil eye, or basically you're countering the negative energy that was trying to take you down. You're countering it by strengthening your prayer life. So basically you're adding more protection. You're putting another armor around yourself. And I would do this in the morning and at night and any time in between, okay? That you're having a weak moment or you're feeling drained or tired A lot of times, because we could be emotionally tired and drained from just trying to get through the healing process, deal with our emotions, deal with our regular day to day. Yeah, this happens. And it also happens when that person that you weren't with, they're trying to, pull on your astral body, or basically pull on your energy from a distance. Because sometimes, when they can't physically get to you, that's when they try to invade your dream. That's when they're sending you that evil eye. That's when they're praying against you. Just them thinking negative thoughts about you is sending negative energy. There's confirmation right there with my phone. But you speaking life and positivity into your own life, it's countering this energy, it's rebuking it, it's returning to sender, you guys. So, all their little ill intentions is going right back on their asses, okay? So don't leave yourself vulnerable in this type of way. And definitely don't underestimate, people who are just jealous of you or sending you ill will. Because when you are, of the light, and God promotes you and God has his hand over your life in that favor, it can cause other people to feel uncomfortable. It can cause them to feel resentful and jealous. They don't care about what you've been through and what your walk has been and how hard you might have worked for this or that. But yeah, I definitely don't want you to miss out on that armor that's so necessary. And hey, Miss Wonder, welcome to the live chat, hun. All right. So, the last thing I have here, you guys, on this list is to continue to make healthy deposits into yourself, and basically continuing to do the work, checking in with yourself, you guys, addressing issues with a being like solution oriented when doing so, like if you have an issue, find a solution for a healthy solution. That's what life is going to be. A bunch of checks and balances, a lot of cause and effect, you guys. And this relationship was a cause and effect. But the good news is you ended it, you got out of it, and now you just have to heal from it. But like I was saying, and all these things work together, but having these perspectives and allowing yourself to feel and not allowing yourself to get sucked into depression and bitterness. Take control, take control of your life. Like, now's the time to fight for yourself. A lot of times in these situations, we learn how to be submissive and really passive, perhaps even passive aggressive. Now is, time for you to just tap into that warrior inside of you and understand that God's not finished with you. And you have everything you need, you have everything you need. If you still needed that person on your journey, they would still be there for whatever reason. But, you've shed that off. And now you just have to deal with yourself and shed off of all that negative energy that's surrounding you. And the more that you start doing that, of course, the lighter you're going to start feeling on your feet, the better you're going to be feeling. And, the more that pain is going to subside. Now, have realistic expectations, especially after certain types of traumatic relationships. The goal is not that you'll forget that this ever happened to you. As a matter of fact, that's losing the lesson. It's not that you're going to forget. That's not the goal. It's not a realistic goal anyway. I don't even know if you could be hypnotized into that. But the goal is that the thought of these things are not controlling and dominating your life in a way where it's still actively tormenting you and causing like self-sabotage and just keeping you in a certain state. Then it's not in the past, it's in your present. Is not really something in your past at that point. It's still coming along with you. It kind of reminds me of that Bag Lady song by Erykah Badu. She said, you gonna hurt yourself. If you don't put these bags down, you're still carrying these damn bags. Like, haven't you been through enough? Along with forgiving yourself, have some mercy on yourself as well. I could just, throw this in as it's popping into my head. Have some mercy on yourself. Like I said, a lot of times, and survivors can be so hard on themselves because so many others have been so overly critical of you, and you've been put in situations where you weren't allowed to be human, or you make a little mistake, it's blown out of proportion, or maybe when you were a child, someone was grooming you to think you were wrong, your mere existence, you can't even breathe right, so a lot of things get embedded into us, and we have to understand, like I said, managing those thoughts and the negative thoughts, and understanding whose thoughts they really were and who was programming you. And like it really does help to be able to break these things down. They usually happen in therapeutic atmospheres, or if you really just have that amount of self-awareness, or you could pray to God to open your eyes. But nonetheless, you guys, he always lets you know what you need to know. You've been in enough pain. You don't need to continue that, you guys. Like, you've suffered enough, especially in particular situations. Like, it's not even fair, in spite, you have to take a different perspective. It's because of that I deserve to be happy. It's because of that I'm not going to dwell. I don't deserve that. I've been through enough. So I really hope that this helps someone. You're not alone, and that's another thing that may need to be managed. Feeling lonely or feeling alone in this world. You're here in this community. I'm sure you have some type of support system you can tap into. And even if you don't, which you should be careful anyway, because these are very private, intimate details. Make sure whoever you're turning to for any type of venting or any type of advice, that they really do have your best interest in mind, and that they really are a friend or someone that you really can trust, and given as though a lot of times, if we are with a narcissist or a toxic person, there's a good probability that you have others around you, and that you may be overly trusting outside of them. So you may, have to really take inventory, and that may also be something to be on your to-do list for sure. It's a good time, when you're cleaning the house with them, take inventory of everyone else too. And you'll know energetically, you'll know in your emotional maturity, who you should be letting in and who you shouldn't. And just honor that, don't second guess it. You don't need any validation. It's okay. Like, there's been situations where I haven't had any hardcore proof, but that person got near me. It made me feel some kind of way. That's enough. Sometimes it's to the point where I can look in someone's eyes and tell how light or dark they are. Like, if I look in their eyes and that darkness is just like brewing, I'm like, oh no. I'm to that point. It's okay. I don't need the most solid of information, because when you need that means went through something, they done did something to you. I don't even need it to go that far. Nope. And people's reputation precedes them. I let it. And I know the empath in us, well, just because they said it, or just because I'm going to get to know for myself. 20 people done told you this person did this. That's enough. That's enough. Stop giving people the benefit of the doubt. And then if you know you are more prone to attract certain type of characters and shady ass people, like, and you already have a heads up on this person's past, yeah. So we're going to stop the pain after the breakup by not repeating the cycle, and by not repeating it with new people and new names, So we can add that to the list too. That's going to stop the pain as well. And also, now that I'm thinking about it even more, we could just take accountability, not for other people's behaviors, but I'm going to take accountability for my happiness. I'm not going to allow how somebody else treated me out of their toxicity to dictate how I feel about myself, right? And this is this is all kind of going back to the perspectives and the outlook, but we're just diving in a little bit deeper here as is, I'm being told to say it. So, um, yeah, that's how they treated me, but that's not how I feel about me. That projection thing is really deep, especially when you're used to codependency in your relationships. And now you're taking on their treatment of you for how you should be viewing yourself as a human being. No, they don't have a right of stripping you of your dignity and your self respect. It's your dignity and it's your self-respect. So that's something that you should be guarding anyway. But you got to come out of that codependent energy to feel that. So a lot of times, especially if you're empathic, it's very easy for you to be a sponge of other people's emotions and it's just not bouncing off of you, it's coming inside of you. And this goes back to the detoxing and the cleansing that I was talking about that needs to be going on. You need to have boundaries with that. And there's confirmation again. But the more that you get mentally strong, it really helps you with the spiritual things as well, because you're going to know better. Heather says, when you're going through a transformation and they throw your past in your face, and yeah, if this is the they, like your ex or the they or the people around you, then they're telling you and showing you who they are. That's, you have to not let that hurt you. Let it reveal. God's going to let you, like sometimes when he's stripping, remember that meme that people said, I asked God, I prayed to God to reveal all my enemies and I lost all my quote unquote friends, right? So sometimes it's not just going to be that one person that's fallen off. He's going to reveal the whole clique to you. And that's beautiful because he knows he's going to promote you. He doesn't want any of them to come along with you. So don't even make that sad face. Be happy when people reveal themselves. I don't get attached to titles anymore. This is something that I used to do, and we could put this on a list of how to stop the pain after a breakup. We get attached to the title. That was my husband. That was my wife. That was my sister. That was my best friend. I know if we just study the beginning of human existence, and even if we go into the Bible, you guys, it was the people closest. It was the people with the closest titles that were doing the betrayals. Judas was one of Jesus's disciples, and this isn't about being a Christian or not. I'm just pointing to a story here to let you guys know you can learn something. So if someone could betray Jesus, somebody can betray a regular human being. But this was someone who watched him do all of these miraculous things and still had the nerve to stab him in the back. Like, whoa. I mean, he ended up feeling really guilty for it afterwards, but when he was doing it, he was being used though for good. He was, but still he was able to do that. So it just gives you, this is just showing you the human psyche, the dark side of human nature, you guys. So don't get sad about these things. This is how people are. This is how a lot of people are. And low vibrational toxic people. So when you're going through your transformation and they throw the past in your face, they're probably jealous. It's like a crab in a barrel thing, Heather. Be mindful of that. They want to pull you back down, suck you back down. Like, who do you think you are? You forgot where you came from. They want you to come back down into that bucket, back down to the low place, Heather. It's a test, and you're better than that. So that's right. You're going to continue your transformation and make a note. Now you know who else needs to be on that list. Yeah, chances are it's a crab in a barrel thing. Or they're just people who never believed in you anyway. Either way, they're revealing their hands and they're showing you, they're not really for you. They're against you. Because that's what it has to come to. Either this person is for you or against you, And that's a good way of stopping pain after breakup. Being careful. You're in a very fragile, delicate state right now. When you guys are going through these breakups, you really have to be careful who you're turning to. You don't want to end up running into the arms of another wolf here. So these are just things to be mindful about. So Heather Marie says, I used to use heavy drugs. I've been feeling everything and healing the trauma. Yeah, so basically going through the withdrawal from the drugs and, breaking those trauma bonds and, healing from the abuse. Well, you know what? Good for you. Good for you. Because feeling means you're still alive and you're still human. And it also means that you're one step closer to, getting over that hump too. And it's going to be so worth it. Heather says, I'm clean and I'm allowing myself to feel after numbing for so long. Yeah, and that's, obviously with the drugs, the heavy uses of drugs. And it doesn't make it disappear, it just pushes it back. Oh, awesome, Heather. She's clean for 5 years. That's amazing. Breaking addictions are so hard. And there's all types of addictions. People just know the basic ones, but it's so hard. So good for you. That takes a lot of strength. I'm happy for you. All right, you guys. I'm going to stop the live chat. It's been almost an hour now. But thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, LakiaCrawford.com. I always offer coaching sessions. And if you do have requested videos, you can always let me know down in the chat if you're just coming in. This is going to be recorded, of course, so you guys can always reverse it back and check in on it and all that good stuff. I hope that this helps somebody. Oh, you're welcome, Heather. Good for you. It is, and I really mean that. God bless you all. Stay strong. Do not give up on yourself. He hasn't brought you this far for nothing. If he's waking you up each day, that means that he has a purpose for your life, and it's up to you to be discerning what that purpose is. All right, you guys. I love you. It's always great to drop in. Actually, I had a pretty long day, and you guys be helping me when I come on here. And it's like a release because it's peaceful for me to come on here and, talk about these things that I'm passionate about. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and leave yet again. But take care, you guys. I love you. And I'll see you in the next video.